So I learned something really cool this week. Do you guys ever have moments where there's something like a game you feel like you know a lot about, you've played it many times, and then all of a sudden, like you learn something new about it, and it's just really exciting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've played through FF13 like double digit times, right? And I just learned this week, either I learned it or I knew it before and I totally forgot. But like there's like this system in there where there's like these hidden like these passive uh buffs or whatever that can happen when you like equip two certain accessories together on the same character, and that's something I never really knew before. For
Hmm.
example, if you equip two iron bangles on one character, which iron bangles are not useful after like an hour of the game, like you get an extra 20% damage on that character if they have at least 90% of their health.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like that's really cool that you can do stuff like that in that game. So like all of your accessories actually uh there's kind of a point to keeping everything,
Oh
just
yeah.
all the different things you can use. And that's been actually really helpful with farming uh, adamant tortoises. So just a neat little nugget there. Just wanted to
I
share.
love it when stuff like that happens where you learn something even though you've played a game a million times.
Yeah. Same thing happened with FF8 recently,
Huh.
last year. There's like this secret, like, love meter or something with Zell, like a little side quest for Zell that I never knew about
Really?
until last year. Yeah, I never knew about it. You'll have to look it up. It's like a love meter with Zell.
Write that down. That's interesting.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Anyway, welcome Gary BC. Really glad you could join us this week.
It looks like he's like eating your head.
He might be.
He's
I feel
trying
ki
to.
I feel kinda brain dead today. I found something else out like that in 9 though, last year.
Cool. What is
Like,
it?
so the way that the ATB gauge runs, if you're in Doom status effect, the higher your spirit, the faster your countdown goes. So, technically on a level 1 challenge, because your spirit's usually lower, you reach the 0 on Doom slower than you would if you're max level. It's
Huh.
like the only status effect that I could think of that has gradual petrify as well. Any of the ones that have a countdown to them, if you have high spirit, which is normally good, it's the opposite on those just on those two status effects.
That's cool. So in a level one challenge, I just keep thinking of that enemy in Memoria that casts Doom on you. But what are bosses in nine that cast Doom, where that would be helpful, applicable?
Uh, I mean, I know the ashes and Memoria, like you mentioned. I think there's either a Doom or a gradual petrify in Ibsen's castle. I can't remember the enemy, but I
Is
know
it the
that there's
mirror
that.
enemy? Like the one that makes the mimic of you?
Yes.
Is that Nipson's castle?
Yep.
Okay, I was thinking that was in Oilvert for some reason.
It's an oil.
That's a great place to train. You can keep killing the clones, get a ton of experience, if I recall.
Yeah, right outside. Well, like you go inside. Well, Oilvert, Elvert, whatever. You go inside there, and then right outside the door. I grind there a lot.
Mm,
Every time I play
It
that game, I always gain like 10 levels at least there.
yeah.
I think that I think you're right on the mirror thing. Gosh, I hate that I forgot.
Oh, it
Uh,
is in Welver?
I'm checking if it's there. It is the epitaphs from Oliver
Yeah.
or
Oh,
Oliver, I think.
Yeah,
It's
that's probably it.
Oliver or Oliver. My gosh, I cannot that.
I'll probably just stick to my American translation of that.
Yeah, it's like green eye in French, but like in Japanese, it's Uyuveru.
Okay. That it sounds easier to say too. So, topic today is really interesting, and it's definitely not controversial at all. But I thought it would be fun. We chat in Discord about this, and I think it was Tim's idea, right?
yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah. We all kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So just some discourse on maybe the current state, Final Fantasy, the future, and I think even modern gaming can apply to this, at least from my perspective. I just include modern gaming in there. But Tim, since it was your um, idea first, how about you share your thoughts? Just some general thoughts on the state of gaming, the series, and all that.
Um, but the state of gaming in total, I feel like there's a lot of copycat games. Just there's a lot of bloat in certain areas. It's the same type of games over and over and over again. Um, talking about like RPGs and Final Fantasy and stuff. Like I don't know. I feel like we've gotten to that point where every once in a while you'll have like this breakout game, like Expedition 33 or Baldur's Gate 3, where it's just this incredible game. I'm not saying there's not any other good games, but it's like this incredible game. And I feel like back in the PS1 era, SNES era, I feel like there were a lot of games that were just amazing games. And I just don't feel like we get that anymore. I feel like there's just a lot of copycat games, a lot of games where they just developers just don't care. I don't know what it is, or they're not innovative. They've taken their ideas for something else. Um, and I just find myself very disinterested in a lot of the games that are shown these days.
I wonder if a lot of that is because I I guess I mean back in those days, I mean, it was kind of the wild west of gaming, and a lot of concepts and ideas were being like created during that time. So I wonder if that plays into because there were a lot of opportunities to break ground back then,
Mhm.
and now that gaming is a lot more established, it's harder to innovate.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's tons of games coming out constantly too. So I mean, you both definitely have a point. I was thinking about this recently, like the gaming industry and also the film industry. I'm a huge fan of movies and film. Like today is June 25th. 43 years ago, John Carpenter's The Thing came out, and that's one of my favorite movies. And I was like, just thinking about the 80s with movies, then it's like, man, there were awesome movies coming out all the time. Like 40 years ago, also The Goonies came out.
Hmm.
Back to the Future is about to have its 40th anniversary. I was just thinking, like, most great things that came out then were kind of just new ideas all the time. And if you look at the film industry now, like, it's like the only thing that is going has a chance in the theaters really is something that's established, and that's really boring to me, but it probably has a lot to do with what Ross is saying. But I did notice, especially with like the gaming events we just had, Summer Game Fest, I feel like most games that were announced were new. Or it's like most of the games announced weren't AAA games, and it was a lot of like indie slash double A new ideas, but they also kind of feel the same too.
Mhm.
I think that's probably just me and my age, where I'm just not the target market for a lot of this stuff. But like the film industry and the video game industry are kind of doing the opposite. Film is just totally relying on the past, and the gaming industry, they're making a lot of new stuff, but it all is kind of like samey looking. I don't know. It's like we've reached a point with graphics where AAA stuff all looks the same, but if somebody tries to do something different and not be AAA, all of that kind of looks the same too.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
indie retro, they
I
just
feel
kind
like
of
I've seen
have that.
so many.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I feel like I've seen so many like retro indie games. I mean, they're great, but they all just look rough, more or less the same. But I guess the same thing with like AAA because there's this there's this like trying to think of how to phrase this, like an appeal to like hyper realism that I keep seeing. I don't know. I don't care about realism. I want to play something that looks interesting. It doesn't have to look realistic. It has to be stylized a certain way, and I don't want things to get oversaturatedly stylized. Like I don't. I'm trying to think of a good example. People talk about 2D HD, and like I feel like if I saw a bunch of games do that, I would get really burnt out with that look. I've already got that way with cell shading when I really liked cell shaded games. Um, but I think another thing with like I guess just entertainment in general recently is you have these companies that are like putting a crap tons like 8 to 9 figures of money into these games, and they're afraid to take chances because that's a lot of money to basically gamble with, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not defending that at all. I'm just saying, like, just in general, it's just kind of a shame that a lot of AAA companies are afraid to take chances, and even like the AA companies, because if they make a game that doesn't reach the right audience, or doesn't like they could be. I mean, the company could just be like out on the street. It's just I don't know. I think it just feels too high stakes, so they everybody plays it too safe, and then they make a product that or like art that appeals or tries to appeal to everybody but satisfies nobody.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you know who we should blame for inflated gaming budgets, where all that started? Final Fantasy VII.
I was way yeah, biggest development team ever. Um
Yeah, and it was the most expensive game ever at the time.
one other thing is I found and I've been thinking about this too is like I used to watch these shows, these like award shows or like E3 or whatever it was, Tokyo Game Show. And I used to be excited for them to just announce anything. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that I only want them to announce certain things. Like I'm dead set on if you don't announce this or this or this show sucked. And it doesn't matter if anything else interested me. I'm disappointed immediately because these are the things that like do appeal to me. These are the things that I've grown up with that I want to see, now. And I think that because there were sometimes I was thinking about it at Summer Game Fest and the PlayStation. The PlayStation event was really good. The State of Play recently, and I was happy. But the reason why I think that that was such a successful State of Play for me was because they announced one thing that was on my list of if they announce this, my year is complete. So when I was younger, it was very much like, oh, they announced this game or this is cool. I can't wait to try this out. And now I think maybe it's because of the amount of time I have to play games, I can't try everything anymore. That now it's kind of like, I want Final Fantasy IX remake because I know that's something I'm going to get. It's day one. It's going to be something I'm going to throw myself into. Persona 6, whatever it is. It's like there's like a list in my mind, and if they don't like hit that list a little bit, it's already a failed show to me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that recently because it's like the summer state of play. I don't think it was that great, but then I'm like, some other people probably thought it was pretty amazing. So what's
Yeah.
the difference between them and me?
You're not the general consumer, like the general target market for stuff. I definitely feel the same way. I actually do feel the opposite with gaming and film. Where with games, I'm just kind of waiting for something for them to announce of something I already know, more than like something new. But with film, like I'd rather like have like a new thing. Like if they announced a remake of one of my favorite movies, like if they announced a Stand by Me remake or something, I just
Mm,
roll my eyes like, oh my gosh, like
hmm
I do not care about this.
Yeah,
Um, but if they announced the Final Fantasy IX remake, I'd be going nuts. You know,
yeah, same.
it's like yes, that's amazing. But I think that's why I like Final Fantasy so much anyway. It's familiar enough, but I feel like they do enough different where it kind of satisfies the coziness
Mhm.
where I feel familiar with something, but also like challenges my perception of something too.
Well, and another thing with Final Fantasy that I love too is that even with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth having come out, I still go back and play the original. The original is still my favorite game. Like, I feel like if they remade any of the other ones too, like nine, I'm still going to go back and I'm going to play the original nine. It doesn't erase it. Uh, so for me, that's one thing that I love too. And I don't know how other people feel, but I feel like a remake to me in when it comes to Final Fantasy isn't like trying to erase the past, but it's like trying to show it in today's graphical, in today's technology. I think most people are still going to go back and play those originals.
That is a good point, and that probably does make movies and video games different in that way, where it's like video games, you can kind of justify it from, hey, let's make it with the technology we have today. With a movie, you don't, most of the time, that's just not really necessary
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just actors acting, you know.
hmm
I was thinking about when you mentioned the Summer Games Fest. The reason I basically crashed out in chat about it because nothing was appealing to me. Like, I guess whenever I watch any of those conferences or any expos, I have like this mental rule in my head that at I want to walk away with at least one game that if all these games were available right now, would I buy this game? And if the answer is no to all of them, then I feel like I wasted my time. And I definitely feel like I wasted my time with with Summer Games Fest.
I feel
Which
the same way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even remember anything from that show except for Resident Evil 9. But
I remember
Uh,
Code Vein 2 and Code Vein 2, if it were super discounted, maybe.
mhm. I think Illness, the two games that I saw it that I will play, they're not games that I would take time off to play, but it's Illness and RE9. You
Mhm.
know, now had they announced Final Fantasy VII Part 3 or Final Fantasy 9 Remake or 17 or something, that I would be looking at my PTO calendar saying, when do I need to take PTO? Um, so I feel the same way that although there were titles that I'm like, oh, I will play that at some point. I wasn't like, all right, this show is amazing for this. And it's kind of funny because the Xbox showcase had a game on there that made me really excited, and I thought that was a super successful showcase because of that one game, Persona 4 Remake.
Mhm. Yeah, I liked the Xbox showcase, but
Oh, that reminds me, where I signed up for that. I can't even remember the name of it now. The Anemo. Yeah, where I signed up for the open beta. Like, I should be getting an announcement anytime about it. So
oh,
there's a
that's
chat.
cool.
So there's like a distinct chance that I could be testing that game out soon.
That's cool. By the way, Tim, when you were talking, I almost laughed. It wasn't because of you. I looked at Gary Busey.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me because there's moments where like I'm looking at your screen or I'm looking at my screen, and then I look up and it's like Gary Busey is like
Yeah.
eating Ross's head. So
Yeah.
I could
Definitely
I
trying
could
to.
make myself not get munched on because
I think it's hilarious, but it's just one of those things where it's like in the middle of whatever we're talking about, it's all of a sudden Gary Busey is coming at me.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. I
I'm
love
getting bused on.
it. Oh, by the way,
Abuse.
I don't think we said, but Brandon on the loose is not with us right now. He's cleaning or moving or something. So it's not that he has nothing to say. He's just literally not with us right now, but we might see him in a little while.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Cool. Is that your character?
Oh no, it's just another. It's a random Lollithol.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, we need to talk about 7.3, but let's move on to the Final Fantasy stuff right now.
Okay.
I kind of have a feeling that the three of us have something different to say about modern Final Fantasy in the future. We haven't like talked about this too much, but I just kind of have that feeling. Who wants to go first?
I can if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So modern Final Fantasy, don't hate it. I don't really love it either. It's not bad. I don't want anyone to think that like I hate FF16 or 14 or anything like that, but I just find it to be really boring. Uh so FF16 played through it when it came out. Um it's fun for a while and I'm interested in the story and the characters and the world. But I found that I got really bored of the combat. I didn't feel like the combat or customization was deep. I hated not having parties. And I kind of felt like the story really dropped off at some point. So, 14, I've been playing it since I've played it in 1.0. Been playing it for a long time. I just find that it's like the same thing on repeat. And I'm really, really kind of bored of it. Um, and it makes me sad because I still play and I go and I want to have fun, but I just don't have fun playing that anymore, really. Um, Final Fantasy 15, since we're going, 14, 15, 16, I guess. 15, I haven't played the Royal Edition or whatever the like super good edition is. I played it originally. I found it to be boring. I didn't love the story. I didn't hate the story. I didn't love the characters. I didn't hate the characters. Also, something that bothered me with 16 was the exploration or lack thereof. I just feel like I kind of think back to Final Fantasy, like, well, really all of them prior to, I mean, even 13 as well. But you beat the game, and then like I would always be like, okay, now I'm gonna go look. Hey,
Hey, I don't know what that's gonna do to our overlay.
I know
Oh,
it just like
but
froze.
yeah, well, Brandon has that thing set up, but he's not even here to fix it. So,
Oh,
yeah.
He'll adjust.
Hey,
hey,
what's up, Lofty?
Not
Are
much.
we
How you
calling
guys
you
doing?
Sean or Lofty or Lofton?
Schlofty, actually.
Lofty.
I go by a mix of the both.
Okay. Well, welcome. Tim was just telling us his feelings on modern FF.
overall boring. Not I don't hate them, but there's things that just missing for me. Like with 16, I was talking about like whenever I'd beat an older Final Fantasy, I would then be like, okay, I want to go out into the world and I want to search for hidden places or I want to find hidden things, hidden bosses. And I just felt like that's kind of been missing a little bit. Like it's not like 15 was a very big world, but I don't feel like there was a lot in it. I felt like it was just very big. 16 didn't have I felt like didn't have a lot of exploration. It was very like kind of like Final Fantasy 14 and like you go to a big zone, there's a few things to do there, but there's not a lot of exploration. Not a lot of secrets to find or anything like that. So I don't I don't hate the games. Um, but I don't feel like they have the same replayability, and I didn't get the same enjoyment as I did from the older titles, and even Remake and Rebirth. And I know that some of Remake and Rebirth is nostalgia for me. I will openly admit that especially Remake. But I really just feel like those games were funner. The combat was better. The customization. I feel like overall those games were a lot better compared to like 14, 15, 16. So that's what I consider current. I didn't go back to 13 because that's
I don't think that's
uh,
modern Final Fantasy anymore. I think
yeah,
14
it's
is
older.
good. Yeah.
But
And we don't have to
even
talk
a
about
game,
13 ever.
what's that?
Just we don't have
You
to
need
talk
to
about 13 ever.
just get out of here. I already glazed 13 already. So,
Um, I mean, even games like World of Final Fantasy, like that was a great game. I had a lot of fun playing that game. But you know, um, as far as like more mainline, I just find that they're very boring and there's not really a lot of customization. I feel like they've kind of gone away from giving you the ability to kind of break the game a little bit. That's how I'm gonna kind of put it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am with Final Fantasy, like modern Final Fantasy.
okay. That's some good insights. Uh, Ross, you're about to go. Just real quick, I was just gonna say I'm really glad, Sean, that you joined because Sean has played a lot of modern Final Fantasy as well. I know overall you've kind of taken a hiatus from the series since the PS2, but you've played more modern Final Fantasy stuff. So we definitely want to hear your thoughts. But Ross, were you about to say? Were you about to?
I was just gonna add, like, just kind of expanding on like what Tim said about just how it kind of feels empty at times. Like, yeah, I agree with that. Like with modern FF, there is this sense of I think they I think they try to cram in content for the sake of content to keep to like because I don't know, I feel like this is like a fundamental issue with just gaming in general is people act like spending spending like standard price on a game that only lasts less than 40 hours or whatever is automatically like a sin or something when like I don't know I'd rather spend full price on a game and it be like 20 hours long and it be one of the best stories or has just I don't know it just blows me away for $20 versus a game that I spend I mean about the same amount on that's 100 hours long and doesn't have quite the same depth. Like, and I feel like that's like a I don't know, I feel like it's a modern gaming. It just I don't know something I take issue with now, and I feel like a lot of modern FF like they try to cram in content for the sake of content, and like especially like remake Rebirth in 16, like there were times where I wanted to shut down because there was just so much crap going on. Like especially with like 7 Rebirth, where I would get maybe like 10 minutes in, and then all of a sudden, oh, oops, mini game time. Um, like I know that FF7 I know the original FF7 had a lot of mini games in it, peppered in the story, but it just it felt more saturated this time. And I think 16, especially like late game, where it just throws a bunch of stuff at you all at once, and it's like, hey, check out all these things. And it's like right when you feel like you're almost done with the game, it just kind of thrusts all these quests on you at once, and it's I don't know, just something with modern FF that I wish they could just fix and just I don't know, go back to like the 20 to 40 hour long FF games. I mean, with the exception of 14, I do feel like they need to like adjust the release cycle and stuff for with 14 especially.
An MMO that's only 20 hours long.
Yeah. I mean, I think they release or like the way that they release like the raids and everything, like people are getting kind of bored of it because it's like the same formula every 4 months. And then people will like binge all that stuff and then they go, "Oh, there's nothing left to do." And then because the way that the way that the game is formatted, like it leads to that, and then it makes it not as fun, especially because you have all these people that do all this like doing all this content all at once. Like for instance, like the chaotic raids or the Criterion dungeon. Nobody really does those anymore because they were I guess binged all like within like the first few weeks, and now that stuff is more or less dead unless you find a pre-organized party for that. I think they need to. I don't know. I think that they need to think of ways of making that content stay fresh without. I mean, without just depriving us of it, because I don't know. It's just not. Like I wouldn't say that I'm burnt out on 14, but I could see why others would be burnt out because it's the same thing every expansion.
Yeah. Yeah, 14's kind of going through a weird phase right now where not everybody loved Dontrell and there's a lot of criticism about a lot of content pacing and stuff. And it's totally understandable. Um, I'm hoping that I said this to you guys the other day, but I kind of wish that the 14 development team could just kind of like hit pause on their content uh, right now and just kind of take time to like breathe and you know reflect and just gain inspiration. Yoshi P is so like tight on his scheduling and deadlines that I don't know. I kind of feel like the 14 team just needs to breathe a little bit, but I could be wrong. Sorry, Ross. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done, but was
Oh,
there something else?
I was also gonna add, along with 14 and just modern FF, as Tim was saying, I mean, yeah, it feels like a lot of it's been oversimplified to the point of optimizing, I guess, to the point of optimizing the fun out of the game. Because for some of us, just tweaking and just fine tuning like how we want to approach a game and do all these different types of loadouts like we could with, I mean, um, FF3 or FF5 or Tactics with with their job systems. Like we don't we don't really have that kind of we don't really have that level of customization. I mean, especially in 14 where everything is starting to get a little bit homogeneous with the jobs. But I mean, I still get on because like I get on because it's like a social media for me that's FF flavored, and it's just fun to dress up and it's my little Lalafell. But I don't know. Like I think there I think that 14 needs some allocation of funds and other resources, and just not for people to stress about like as you were saying, Cave, like the dev team they just need to take a little pause, and or even have something that like cycles like every week or two that gives you like a really neat reward. I don't know. They need to do something to add flavor without feeling a sense of FOMO.
Yeah. I think it's also tough to be making follow-up content to a pretty divisive expansion. I mean, I didn't play Stormblood at the time. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I love Stormblood. It's my favorite expansion overall, especially for the content that was with Stormblood. The story plot, maybe not so much, but I loved the characters like Xenos and Yotsuyu and stuff. The locations, the music. Thought Stormblood was awesome. But I hope they can land on their feet and just figure out how to make the long term success more sustainable. Sorry, Ross, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, that I didn't feel like I was getting interrupted or anything. I was I was nodding.
Oh, okay. Sean, do you want to share your thoughts? You recently played 16 and Rebirth, and you played Remake a few years back.
Yeah, so around 2006 through 2007, I stopped playing games entirely and didn't play games until like 2018 or 2019. And so I had like a really long gap and kind of skipped 12, 13, 14, and 15 like entirely. And came back in 16 for modern FF, and that game is great. There are parts of it that are honestly like the worst. Like uh I don't know, you have to really squint to even be like, oh yeah, they were really working on something here that was like quality. Like and it's the side quests. The side quests are just awful. And so like the chef thing where he's like, hey, dude, I want to become a better cook. Why don't you go out and find these incredibly rare monster like species that don't sound like they taste good at all? Like they chose Marlboro as an ingredient for a dish? Like I was like, they didn't like think about this. Like Marlboro looks like he's rancid, right? Like
Maybe it's like a
and it's
durian
like
fruit delicacy.
we don't
Uh,
know each other. This is like the first time you're talking to him in the game. You have no relationship. There's no like build up to this thing where he's like, I'm going to become a master chef. There is no story at all. This is just some dude. You talk to him, you do his fetch quest, you come back, and then it does the like I'm gonna imitate it. Oh, I have completed the quest. And that is the scene for the end of
like
it.
like the
And that is
He-Man
like the most
animations.
unsatisfying bullcrap they could come up
Yeah.
with. And then they have like eating sounds for the end of the side quest. And that's it. That's all there was. And you get the same junk that you could have picked up on the world map. And so I would say that that is terrible content. Like that is really bad. But high side, Uh, the fighting system, I know that I love turn-based games. Like they're my bread and butter. I really enjoyed the fighting in 16. It felt tight. Like if I pushed the button for when you were about to parry, I was pretty confident that I had timed it right so that I could parry. And so I had like a high level of tightness in that confidence. The dodging I felt like was pretty tight too. And so remake I think is really fun. I don't think remake is that tight in the dodging and parrying. And so that piece of 16's fighting I really enjoy. Where it's like interactive, you're always thinking about something and you've got to figure out like what am I going to get into to like set up this next part of the fight. And so there is strategy. It is interrupted by the real time aspect, but I enjoyed it. Uh, I would not be mad if they went back to turn based and would be very happy. But also, if they make another game that expands on the style they set up in 16, I'd be totally down for that too. I would play that. But I hope they go back to turn based for 17 because it's been a long time and I want to see what they got. Like, uh, I feel like the last real turn-based game was 10, and then after like 10 had like real turns in it, right? Like, and it had like a turn order, stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
feel like everything else went into something that was only kind of turn-based, and then 16 is not turn-based. I don't know if people disagree with that. I saw Gabe like kind
No,
of
no,
glance at that.
I agree with that, but in a way that not a lot of people agree with how I agree with it. To me, one,
Oh, go
two,
on.
3, and 10 are pure turn based. So I feel like you have to like distinguish turn based and ATB. That's how I feel.
Mhm.
I mean, ATB is in the turn based umbrella, but it goes ATB all the way up to 13.
Yeah, there's
So
like a turn-based spectrum.
yeah,
The other
I
thing I
mean,
love
I
about
agree
modern
with you,
FF,
but also not. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. The other thing I love about modern FF, storytelling is done so well. So you guys might hate this comment. I love the old FFs. Uh, Storytelling is like modern. Like it's, I feel like it is crazy developed, all kinds of dialogue, suspense, rise and fall, tension. I feel like they have really brought it from hobbyist game making that it was like in SNES era. Like they were full time, but it was like they had 4 teams and they were making 4 games in the 90s at the same time. To this is a movie. Like uh 16 had like a crazy plot with like well planned intentions. Some of it like doesn't hit as hard. Like it's kind of like uh it's they play it safe, I think, in some parts. In other parts, they're like, we need to make this more Game of Thrones. And so there is some of that. But I feel like the development of the story is incredible in modern FF. But honestly, I barely made it through 16 because the side content is so prolific. I can't stand not to complete it. And it was so bad. Like,
Mhm.
before the last boss fight, I almost quit the game. And I'm definitely not going back through and completing all the content to get the extras. I won't expound upon it because it's kind of spoilery. But if you complete the game twice, there's a benefit, and I'm not doing that. Like the side content was just so bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally understandable. I mean, my thoughts are a lot of what all three of you have said already. I consider myself a universal fan overall, but uh, I'm kind of in the process of like re-ranking the franchise, just kind of like my overall thoughts. But I do know this for sure. My two least favorite games are two of the three games we're talking about. 14 and 16 are my two least favorite Final Fantasy games. I do not think they're bad. I think overall, uh, I'll just talk about 16. 14 is an MMO, and Uh, MMOs are hard for me, but 14 is like really streamlined in a way where I just don't feel like I have a lot of expression like I do in 11. But I'll just bypass 14 here. I'll just talk about 15 and 16. So 15, I disagree with you guys, and the fact that I think 15 has a lot of awesome content and a lot of varied content, a lot of fun mini games. The fishing in 15 is awesome. Like traveling the world, uh, riding the boat through the ocean to try to catch new fish for different recipes. Like that's some really good RPG stuff. There's a lot of really good optional dungeons. Piteos dungeon is one of the best ideas in the series, in my opinion. There's these sealed, like these underground, like sealed temples that you can just kind of like wander into and find randomly on the map. And I know a lot of 15's map is very empty, but that also makes the secrets even more like interesting when you find them out in the wild. And that's something that the other modern Final Fantasy games don't have at all. Like the 7 remake trilogy, there's not like secret dungeons and stuff really. I mean, there's not really any secrets. It's all streamlined where it tells you what all there, 14 exploration, there's nothing like that. 16, you guys have already covered it. 16, as I agree with Sean, where I think the battle system and the story are really good. But I don't think the game outside of the I don't think the game serves the battle system well at all. The like there's like I it feels like there's just a handful of monsters that you fight the whole time. And I played 16 at launch, and I like a lot of the time I was blown away. It's like, wow, this is like one of the best games I've ever played. Like it's amazing. The highs are so high, like incomparable high. But the lows are incomparable also. I
That's how I
don't
feel
want
about
to
16.
fight, yeah, I don't want to fight like a wolf, a plant, a bird, and a bug in every single dungeon when I want something to challenge me so that I can utilize the battle system well against these things. And so a lot of the things you fight are just on repeat. It's palette swap the game. And it's like that's such a disservice to this battle system because the battle system is actually really competent, you know. And overall I prefer turn-based any day. But when I played through 16 the first time, I didn't think that. I didn't like miss turn based at the time. I was having a lot of fun. There's a lot of different abilities and stuff. But the flaws are so heavy in that game. It weighs it down, and it's such a shame because there's a lot of great stuff there. The voice acting, the characters, the music, the set pieces, the way the story is told. The way the story is told, in my opinion, is the best modern Final Fantasy. Like the storytelling presentation of it. Outside of the stuff you talked about with side quests, where it's just like these wooden animations of Clive just reaching in his pocket and handing whatever. The, so when I played it this last time, all the highs are still really high for me, but the content is just so bad. The boss battles are awesome, but a lot of what you fight outside of that is just really boring. The RPG systems are just kind of feel not fun or interesting. Um, there's no reason to explore anywhere. Like you can explore and find treasure chests, but the things you get are the same items you get the whole game, and you can just buy them from the hub, the hideaway. It's like, why is this treasure chest just in this secret area, and it's giving me like this crafting material that I already 1,000. I have 9,000 of this same item, and it's like I come back. Why? Why are we getting the same things in every single treasure chest? And there's like this emphasis on collecting the orchestrion roles, but I don't care about that. I'm sorry. There's like this major emphasis on that being kind of like this collectible, but man, it's like they with the video game itself, they emphasize so much on things that just are not good. And I hate that I feel that way. But my last playthroughs of it, like on Steam, I just realized that, I'm battling all the highs and the great things the game did with all the terrible things, but most of the game is the bad things. You know, it's like 24 hours in a day. Let's say that at the top of the hour something just unbelievably amazing happens, but the other 59 minutes are just extremely boring. I mean, most of the time is really boring. Uh, and I just I couldn't shake that feeling. And overall, I'm a pretty positive and optimistic guy. I still feel like I am. I still overall really like the franchise, but if 16 is a baby in the bathwater situation, it's the most beautiful baby you've ever seen in your life, but the water is the most repulsive crap. Like, drain it and scrub the tub like 10 times. But keep that baby safe because that baby needs to be in FF17 because it's so beautiful.
That baby doesn't need to be in. It doesn't need to be in the dark matter.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I won't go too much further, but I'm a big Final Fantasy 15 fan. The main things I hate about it are my complaints about all the other modern Final or is like the questing. A lot of the questing is the same in all these games where it's like, hey, you know, uh, I got some green beans that, fell out of a truck that I need for my shop. Could you go get them? And when you come back, I'll give you a green bean and $10. Sure. I'll go get the green beans and bring them back. That's extremely interesting. Thank you. You know, like I can't stand that type of questing. I can't stand it. And if anything for Final Fantasy 17, I hope they get rid of that kind of questing. It's a modern gaming necessarily a Final Fantasy thing, but I hate it. I can't stand it. Does anyone love that stuff? Is anyone passionate about that? Like Ross said, just condense the experience to the great things. If 16 did that, if they like got rid of all that nasty bathwater and just put a little bit more effort on the RPG side of it and give like some meaningful, like a little bit of meaningful content, just one mini game, just one. I don't think a great Final Fantasy game has to have mini games. Most of my favorites don't have mini games, but 16 needed something,
Mhm.
you know. Anyway,
It
so I
needed
like
Blitzball.
15, don't like 16 as much. Yeah, Blitzball and 16 would be interesting in the nasty bathwater.
You just be Clive yelling the whole time.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in with like one last thing about, I guess, like my takes on modern Final Fantasy is like I say all that I say all that of what I said, not because I dislike the series, because like in fact like I love the series and I love the modern FFs. Like 14 is still my favorite mainline FF. There's just I think it's I think it's good to have a view of, I don't know. I think if I were to just glaze it and just ignore any bit of criticism of it, I would just sound like I would sound like I'm Planet Fitnessing FF14 here.
You
Like,
criticize the things you love, the things you care
yeah,
about.
Mhm.
'cause I'm not going to be unquestioning about the things that I love, because I think that helps me learn to love them better, and it also helps me find things that I could also love in other games, because if it's not meeting a certain need.
Yeah. Being a software engineer, I can see like things in 16 that are like really big enterprise development strategies. And so the side quests not affecting everything. Everything is modular. And so you don't have to do any of the side quests. You won't get like the one of the in-game swords or other things like that, but none of it's required. None of it has any effect on the dialogue or any of that. They've completely modularized and pieced out the entire game, and it's because they've got like literally 1,000 people working on the same game. And so they've got more struggles than in Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, where every action you take has something to do with the ending. Where it's like, oh, I did a side quest. Oh, there's dialogue in the ending about it. Things like that. And so they have to make big trade offs because they have so many engineers working together day to day trying to deliver something. And that is one of the things they cut is cause and effect, which is unfortunate because it's the thing you love to see. It's like, oh, I made a difference. And I think that is something that is so hard for them to do now.
Yeah, like there's so much money and time put into it that it just has to be so safe because there's so many weird things about FF6 now that you brought it up, you know. There's so many weird things that just make like it gives it so much flavor. And you don't see a lot of that stuff anymore.
Mhm.
But I think this would be a good segue into just kind of our recommendations and what we think should probably happen with the franchise now that we've given our feelings. I talked a lot, so I definitely don't want to go first. I don't want to take up all the time. So whoever wants to jump in can.
I can if you want.
Sure.
Okay. Well, for the future, um, kind of multiple areas here. Like, I would love to see more tactics type games. You know, like Final Fantasy Tactics. We just had the remaster announced, and yes, there's some issues, some things that I'm not happy with, but it would be cool if they announced another one and said, "Hey, we're doing another Tactics. Same graphical style as the original, new content, etc., new story, etc." I think that would be really cool. Um, with Final Fantasy 17, I want the job system back. Like, I would love to see a single player Final Fantasy with a job system. Uh, and I kind of want it to be a little bit like Nine. Like, I don't want it to be a super serious, you know, ultra graphical type of game. I would really, love it to be more like Final Fantasy IX. Job system, deep story, great characters. I just, they've gone so far into it has to look so realistic, and it costs, a bazillion dollars to make this game. I don't think that they need to do that. I think that they've kind of lost touch with the fact that if they made Final Fantasy IX, see if they made a game that looked like Final Fantasy IX today, but Final Fantasy 17, the same art style, I think that it's going to sell just fine. You know, I think it'll be just fine. Um, and talking about Final Fantasy 17, I know that it's something that will happen. So that's what I would love for it to happen. But I'm actually more excited at the thought of getting more remasters and potentially remakes. Like I know the 2D HD. Some people are like, I don't want to get tired, and I feel that I don't want a bazillion of those types of games. I want games to be sort of individualized, but I think it'd be cool if you had Final Fantasy 1 through 6 as a 2D HD game, like a remake of that, like that. I mean, Ross had brought it up in the Discord. I think getting Final Fantasy 14 1.0, the way it was, not like remade to be like today's Final Fantasy 14. Same combat system, stuff like that. I think that that's something that I would love to see come to consoles, to the current platforms. Because there is story in there, and they could open those servers and we could play that game. Uh, I think one of my bigger ones though is I would love to see Final Fantasy XI get some love. I would love to see it get a graphical update. I would love to see it come to current consoles. I would love to see a new full-on story expansion. We got one in 2023. Um,
You like
more
11?
jobs. What's that?
You like 11?
It's all right. I love 11. So, but so I'm more interested in. I mean, I would even love a remaster of 13, the 13 trilogy on current consoles.
Oh
I don't.
yeah.
I think Final Fantasy, if it's ever been out, if it's ever been released, it should be on every console that can handle it. Every version of it. I don't think it should be like, oh, to play 13, you got to get your PS3 out or get an Xbox. I just don't think that
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Mhm.
So, um, but that's what I want.
I think that's some really good thoughts. I feel a lot of the same, but I won't say. I just want to glaze 13 one more time, okay? Before someone else speaks. Is that okay? You guys okay if I glaze 13 a little bit more? So I recently replayed 13, and it was shortly after replaying 16, and wow, like 16 could be like the worst RPG I've ever played. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. But 13, man, has so much good RPG stuff in there. It's man. I already mentioned at the beginning like that new thing that I'd found or realized, but the weapon crafting, like the that's another game where like the characters you use really matter. And I just love it. I'd love to have um just kind of like that battle system again and evolved. Anyway, I'll shut up.
Who wants to
Or
go
Sean or
next?
Rob.
Oh, I could share some of my wishes for the future of FFF. I was I kind of expand on what Tim was saying. Yeah, I mean, it's like I wish that there wasn't like I don't care about like super high graphics. Like I want something that's stylized, but like I also don't. I don't care about realism in Final Fantasy. I once. I also would like it if we went back to at least have some more non-human party members, like humanoids instead of humans. Like it's just kind of fun that way. And then um if we went into any type of sci-fi, I think it would be cool if maybe they did kind of like this. I don't know. Saga kind of like has like this almost like campiness with like any bit of the sci-fi that's in it, and I really like that about it. Like it's I don't want, and this isn't a knock against 13. I don't want like that type of sci-fi where like it looks too like sleek. I kind of like it to be like a little bit ugly, I guess. Kind of like I'm trying to think of what is that type of. There's like a certain type of aesthetic. I mean, I like solar punk aesthetic, um, mesopunk, where there's like that kind of like Aztec or Incan or Mayan or any of Mesoamerican culture slash like futurism. But there's this one that's I can't think of what it's called, but it was like really popular in the 30s. I think
So
that'd be
maybe
really
you
cool.
wanted to. Sorry, you maybe wanted to look like the original Star Wars trilogy versus the prequels.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say a good way to phrase that. And then you have I want something like that where it's kind of going into that just extra / larger than life feeling that FF gives. And then I don't know if we didn't have a job system, which I'd be okay with that, but if we didn't get a job system, I would want a party. I don't know, I want a cast where we have kind of like a sense of role identity like in FF4 or 9 where every character plays a certain way and or even do like what Mary Skelter does and have I know it's not Square Enix but still have even just like like a select set of jobs for that character that they have that are and with maybe some minor overlap between the characters, but I think that would be cool. Um, and I think with the story, like I feel like a lot of modern FF has been they want to try to be heavy, like, and I mean I like heavy and emotional, but like I don't know, I kind of would like to see like the game to start off kind of I guess like lighthearted, kind of like a little bit of like a humble beginning, and then get into like the more complex, the darker, the deeper parts of like later on in the game. I guess maybe it's like me wanting to see something like 9, but in this generation that isn't a 9 remake. Because I mean, I don't care about if we get the 9 remake. That's cool. If we don't get it, that's also cool. But I don't know. I think if we're to get any type of like ports or remasters or remakes, I know Tim mentioned that I really want FF14 1.0. Like I hate that I missed out on that because that came out for like we only had 1.0 for 2 years and then it was nuked. And I'm like mad at myself because I could have played that and I didn't. Or I don't know, maybe port FF11 and streamline it without necessarily dumbing down like the way the jobs play or any of the actions, but like I don't know, streamline some of the inventory management, or even just giving us like a single player just city. I think that would be cool. Like give us that again. I don't know. I think there's a lot that Square Enix can do, and I don't know what's on their pipeline. I wish they would tell us, but at the same, I don't know. Like I hope they're cooking up something good.
I think I can't confirm this, but I think that they had made a comment today in that like investors meeting or whatever that they have a very interesting lineup for the next 3 years. I don't know what that means, but very interesting lineup.
It makes me think of that fortune cookie, the "May you live in interesting times," which almost sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
It means that it's heavily financed by debt and they're paying the interest.
Sean, what do you think?
Stuff I want. I want a local co-op game like Secret of Mana. Like I want that every freaking year and it never comes out. We never get one. We got Visions of Mana last year and it didn't have local co-op. And so like it was everything I wanted, but not quite. Uh, and it was full of bugs too. I want a game that isn't so bug heavy.
16 was full of bugs too. You get to fight them constantly.
Oh yeah, 16 was really tight for bugs
Yeah.
though. Like,
Yeah.
uh, you could find them, but and I think on release for PC there was a game ending bug that they had to patch where you couldn't reach the end of the game. But for the most part, I think I didn't encounter very many bugs in 16 at all, and I think that's great. That's like to me, that's like quality.
Yeah.
Uh, I agree with Tim. I really want the HT2D games. Like, I know I've talked with this in Tim in Discord before. The opera scene in 6 in Pixel Remaster is so good. If they could do that for the rest of the game, it would be amazing. I want that really bad. Maybe not a remake, but it could be pixel art, HD 2D, and an original game, and they could do the job system again, like in Final Fantasy V. Final Fantasy V is so fun to just mess with stuff in the game and switch around your equipment. You want to try new things out. There's just so much to explore. I want that. And I want cause and effect back, where things you do in the game matter. And it's not just you are following the path through the story. And I feel like 10 is where they started that, where it's like, wow, you are on a track and you are following the story. Uh, and you just get to the end. Everything else I felt like uh, there was like exploration to do with places to go, and occasionally you were like, especially when I was younger, like occasionally you were like, oh, this is how I continue the game, like. Like you hit a spot where you're like, oh yeah, this is what I need to do. And the open world ending of 6, I really enjoyed the second act of 6,
Hmm.
where uh, everything you do affects the ending, and you can go to the end with 3 characters, or you can go with all 14. And it depends on actions you've taken throughout the game on what culminates for an ending. And so that I really like that, where it's like everything's a side quest, but everything's important. And I feel like Chrono Trigger is like a more streamlined version of that. Chrono Trigger, you can go to the end of the game whenever you want also. But if you want the really good nuggets of content, you have to do the side quests. Like there's so much payoff from the side quests in Chrono Trigger. That's what I want back.
Yeah, yeah. Good thoughts. I agree with you all on the line. Um, I think I think FF9 is what I think about a lot right now for the future, and I don't mean that, kind of echoing what Roscoe said. I don't mean that in a FF9 remake. FF9 remake is probably real, and if it is, I'll be excited. But what FF9 represented when it came out was really important for the franchise, because the first 6 games were very like Hironobu Sakaguchi's style, stories he wrote, you know, pretty recognizable in its fantasy elements. 7 and 8 were when he kind of like took a took steps back with being hands on with a lot of stuff, and he kind of became more of a producer. And it was like a lot more of like Yoshinori Kitase's style, which is also really great. I'm not discounting that. But when FF8 was in development, Sakaguchi was working on the Spirits Within movie. So Sakaguchi didn't really, well, he wasn't involved in FF8, but he would have Kitase just kind of send him updates of what they're doing and stuff. And Sakaguchi felt like with 7, they had taken a big step toward that realism in a way, and that 8 took it even further. So he felt concerned with, since there was so many new Final Fantasy players with 7 and 8, he was really concerned that that's what everyone would just expect, that Final Fantasy is just like this really realistic thing with realistic characters. So that's why like he wanted, you know, to do FF9, and he like he wanted to like, he said it was his way to like kind of like stabilize the series and just kind of like let newcomers know that anything can happen in Final Fantasy, and it wasn't just like a going to keep being more realistic. And I think the series has kind of like reached a point where there's been a lot of that realism they've been chasing for a while, that I'm talking about the single player mainlines, that they really need like a spiritual successor to what Final Fantasy IX was at the time, where it's like a, hey, we're gonna totally do like a 180, show you the other side of Final Fantasy you haven't seen in a while, but also bring some new, you know, heart to it. I disagree with the what you guys are saying about like remakes and stuff. In my opinion, if Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth had anything to do with Final Fantasy, been like original characters and worlds, but with the same systems and same game, that would have done way more good for the franchise than them being Final Fantasy VII games. Because I think a lot more people would have taken them more seriously as like modern Final Fantasy games instead of just kind of seeing it, well, that's a remake, that kind of thing, you know. And 7 Remake and 7 Rebirth are really competent, really great video games. So when I hear that they're making Final Fantasy IX Remake, in a way, it's like that's kind of wish that they had remade Final Fantasy IX, but not remade Final Fantasy IX. You know, used the spirit of Final Fantasy IX for a new kind of entry in the mainline series. Because if FF9 does really love, it's not really going to change the branding of Final Fantasy very much because it's just a remake. So, um, as much as I like, uh, at least I'm fine with and like to an extent like the more action RPG Final Fantasy games. I think there doesn't need to be a new turn-based or turn-based umbrella game. But I think it would be neat if like they executed both of those visions at the same time, like kind of what Sakaguchi and Kitase did back in the day. You can make FF7 and FF8, but then you've got another team making FF9. You know, like two totally different kinds of Final Fantasy. So I'm all for like just different directions going on at the same time. I think that would be good.
But with the remakes, Tifa is so hot. Like
Breathtaking.
it's just I don't know. That, number one, my favorite thing in Final Fantasy Rebirth is Tifa.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. Um,
I'm but my favorite is 7. So for me, I'm happy that they remade and they're doing the trilogy. But but yeah, I totally can see why, you know. It would have been good as FF17 having all those elements in there.
yeah, and I know a lot of people want like the remake trilogy like battle system to be like the new norm for every game. I don't want it to be for every game, but it would be cool to see a new Final Fantasy game with that system. You know, with new characters and world. I think they should at least do that, like a separate game from FF7.
It'd be cool and I'm going to bring up a game most people don't like. I think it'd be cool to have that combat system, but with the dress sphere system as well.
Oh, I love 10-2.
Mhm.
10-2
I
is
love
one
the
of my
dress sphere
favorite
systems.
RPGs.
I need to
Just
go
think
I
back
agree.
to 10 too.
I think it's just something cool they could do. Have the ATB system action based, but you also have dress spheres where you can change them around and on the fly in combat with 3 people. I think that'd be a really cool thing to kind of revisit. Now, I prefer turn-based combat as far as like I like the old school games more than the action-based. But if they're gonna do action-based, I prefer 7 Remake and Rebirth to 16 and 15.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Didn't somebody that worked on Monster Hunter also work on 7 remake stuff? Which is probably
Yeah,
why it feels like as a Monster Hunter player, I mean not like a diehard Monster Hunter player, but as a I would say casual slash mid core one, I mean like it just felt comfortably familiar.
Yeah, Monster Hunter guy did the 7 remake battle system, and the Devil May Cry guy did the 16 battle system. So Square's been poaching like their battle directors from Capcom.
Which is kind of weird to me because, and this is just my opinion, I love Devil May Cry. I don't feel like 16 feels like Devil May Cry at all to me.
I've only played the first Devil May Cry, so I don't know.
It doesn't feel like Devil May Cry to me. So I don't know. But that's
I
just
I know
hear
in the
Devil May Cry. Every time I hear Devil May Cry, I think of that stupid meme.
The soul thing.
No, the Devil May Cry. Devil May piss his pants, maybe. Devil May shit and cum.
oh my god.
I'm
wow.
sorry. Every
Well,
time my brain goes to that stupid beam.
Well, it's
I
been a good
was
discussion.
I was on Reddit a lot
Please tune in
when
next time.
16
Go
I
ahead,
was on
Sean.
Reddit a lot when 16 came out, and I feel like the Final Fantasy subreddit really labeled Final Fantasy 16 as Final Fantasy Devil May Cry.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because they like make that an insult, but it's like, you know, the term Metroidvania? Like Castlevania totally made a game that, but it's kind of seen as like this hallmark thing. Like Metroidvania, that term is not really used negatively. There's just kind of like this weird perception there. I'm totally fine with. I'm pretty like liberal with game design. I like when franchises try new things. I think it's interesting. You know, keep it alive. I mean, how many like old school RPG franchises are still alive? Let's be honest. It's
Like,
sad, and I hate that, but
if you
There's a
think
lot
about
of
it,
them
like
I want to come back.
yeah,
Fantasy Star's on life support through its MMO. Dragon Quest. It's alive. It's just very slow, like very slow release schedule, and then like those are the big three, like FF, Dragon Quest, um, Fantasy Star, and now like
Shin Megami Tensei.
Mhm.
I feel like that's been going pretty solid. Like I need to finish SMT5, but
Same.
what I've played of it was phenomenal. I was like, and in the same vein, like going back to like Atlas, I need to finish. I need to really start Metaphor of Fantasio. I only played the demos content, and then I
Mhm.
got it, and then I guess life happened, and I never got back to it.
I struggle with that game. I loved it the first 10 to 15 hours, but it kind of to me it kind of suffers from what the newer Persona games have. I love Persona 5, the music's great, but it's so long and it's in a way it's kind of predictable where it follows like a formula, like we're going to do this thing, then this thing's going to happen, and then I'm going to be in a dungeon, I've got 10 days to kill something, and then well we start over again. And so for me it's very I played a lot of it and then I just lost interest. Yeah, I couldn't continue. I need to go back to it. A lot of older games, though, now that I'm thinking about it, have kind of come back. Like Lunar 1 and 2 got remastered, Suikoden 1 and 2 got remastered. There's that gives me hope that, a lot of other stuff's gonna be remastered. The one that has not been remastered, that's been missing is Breath of Fire. Breath of Fire is to me, it's one of those main series for JRPGs. It's just non-existent at this point, and Capcom is remaking so much stuff. I have to assume that they are working on remastering those or making a new one.
Yeah, the two series I was going to bring up are Golden Sun and Breath of Fire.
That's
Breath of
another one.
Fire 2 is a great game. I love it.
Mhm.
Uh, and Breath of Fire 3, they're all really good. Uh, Breath of Fire 5, I think, is where it like kind of died out. Kind of obviously,
It
like
looks I haven't played it, but the art design is terrible, so I just can't touch it. Like it
Now,
looks so
Cool.
ugly.
are you talking
For me,
about
it wasn't the
Dragon
art; it was the
Quarter?
Yeah,
gameplay. Yeah.
Okay, because there is a phone game that's Breath of Fire 5. I think it never came out here.
6. Breath of
Oh,
Fire
Oh,
6
6?
was
Oh,
a
that's
mobile
6.
game, and it was like shut down. Like it's like, why did you do that?
They did that with Star Ocean too, like the Anamnesis or whatever.
And
Is
that
that
came back.
counted as like main series title?
I don't know, but I know that there was a Star Ocean, what was a Star Ocean mobile game that weirdly enough had like a Persona 5 collaboration and like one of the coolest mashup songs ever because it's like Star Ocean 2's battle theme but Persona 5 flavored and it just slaps.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I have my thoughts on Expedition 33. Maybe we can do that in another thing, but I think it would be really cool if that game did start like uh, a bringing back of mainstreaming turn-based RPGs because people thought Metaphor was kind of that, and it seemed like it kind of at first. Um, but Expedition 33 seems to have already done better than Metaphor quite a bit, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of uh, probably more casual people that don't play turn-based games to try it out. The thing I hate is something we've touched on is the realism thing, though. That sucks. That a lot of, I mean, it's still a realism RPG, you know. So we're probably going to see more realism stuff, even if turn-based games do come back into popularity. But um, and I just feel like there's a lot more to say about all this stuff, but we've already been going quite a bit, so let's go ahead and end here, guys. Unless you have any like final remarks before we go.
I guess we could just kind of like finish off with like what we're currently playing and just like give like a short little blurb about it.
Hmm.
Like if anything's changed or if there's like any updates on what we're playing.
13 post game. It's great. I'm farming platinum ingots and trapezohedrons right now, and making ultimate weapons for my characters. What a great RPG! It was directed by the same guy that directed 10-2, and I feel like 13 is like an obvious continuation of 10-2 in a way. A very
Yeah.
fast-paced ATB with like changing jobs in the middle of battle and stuff. All right, I'm gonna shut up. I promise.
I've gotten past the point where I was playing in Bravely Default, like where I dropped it in 2017, and I'm mad at myself because I really love like I got to like the part where I stopped, like literally like, right after that is stuff that would have completely hooked me and just would have not let go. So I'm like I have that to look forward to over the next week or two as I continue to play it. And I also just recently bought the visual novel To Heart. Yeah, that's all I. Oh, and FF14 mobile. I'm playing that. Trying to, but it's all in Chinese and I can't read crap. But yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
cool.
Well,
I'm playing FF7 Rebirth. Uh, I'm in chapter 10, I think. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to play it. I don't think I played it before our trip to Costa Rica, and we got back from that mid-May. And so I think the last time I was able to play it was into April. And so it just gets busy and I can't play for a long period of time, but that's what I'm going to pick up when I go back.
nice.
You'll finish it in a few years.
It'll
It's
be this
it's
year.
long, dude.
It
It's
might
so
be after
long.
summer though.
It's really long.
Okay. Playing Final Fantasy 11 mainly. Playing Final Fantasy 1. I'm playing Final Fantasy 5. I just started a new playthrough in Final Fantasy IX. I'm trying to finish my platinum in Suikoden 1 and 2. I'm trying to finish my platinum in Lunar 1 and 2. I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. And I'm trying to finish my platinum in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
You stress me out so much.
I knew that's what you were gonna say. I knew that's what you were
Seriously.
gonna say.
That's so
My
cool.
gosh. All right, guys. Well, thanks for the call. It's a good conversation. Probably come up again. I think it's a good topic. But
Yeah.
And I think
we'll
for
see
next
you
week,
on.
I think it would be cool if we talked about Expedition 33. Maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully Brandon's finished it by then.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, that would be good to have an Expedition 33 episode.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's next on my list.
That's
Nice.
good.
All right. See you guys.
Take
Later.
care, everyone.